Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Concept Brooks. I know this episode is going to talk about, I guess, the first mini test or almost test. I can call it it wasn't an exam, it was a test. Yes, basically there was a tropical storm. Ian, that was projected to, go across our island and stuff like that. I first year being a homeowner and stuff like that. If thing goes wrong, I'm homeless. I'm homeless. But greatly enough, it was it didn't it didn't come. It didn't come. But there was something. If you have listened to the podcast, you'd have learned that few episodes back, a good amount of episodes back, there's a point where I mentioned that the roof was leaking and I had to just and because I was as I said in the first year, you're basically reacting and such like that. So you have to be a CEO of your basically CEO of your house. Basically you have to be aware of the problem and ready to solve it. When the problem came, I just called someone that know how to deal with it and they told me what to do and it wasn't that hard and they did it, so the roof was fixed. They bought some kind of hose taps. Well, basically to just cover the nails that kind of was holding down the roof, because that's where the leak was coming from. And because I did that early when I saw the signs of that, when the hurricane Ian tropical storm Ian came, I was relatively prepared because the roof was not the roof was basically um topped up. So even though it did came, couple rain came after, and it no leaking. So as I said, it was I guess I passed that test. We're still in the still in the game, and that's one of those things where you have to look at it and say, is sometimes a bad thing happens to you for a good reason, and it's a good reason that I saw the leaking early and got it sorted out, so that when something like this came, I was in the best situation to ride through it. Because even though we're in the race season, we're also in the hurricane season, so we should expect something like this. So that's one of the next thing you have to really say in this home ownership. You can't be doing everything right, and then you have the natural disaster that's coming the way, and that's our test in itself. So you have to make sure that you're prepared and such like that. And the home was prepared for it. At least I think so. The star never came to really see if the home was prepared for it or not. But what happened is that we're exiting the hurricane season. And what I'm trying to do now is kind of set up myself and prepare myself so that God's willing, second year we reach the second year of the home ownership. We are more prepared. We're more prepared. Such like that. We're more prepared for something like this. Because I said the first year just you going to be reacting to the problem and such like that. And then my theory is that the second year is that most of the reacting will solve majority of the host problem. So basically the second year will be like just maintaining and it will be relatively easier. So like, it won't be the fairy tale, but it will almost be like how you see how the people be in the movies. Almost. I guess in your third year, God's willing, in your third year, then it will be like in the movies where you see people dance in the movies and shows. So they just running down the stairs and all those stuff like that, you know. For the first 2 years, it's just trials and tribulations, trials and tribulations, you know. That's basically for this episode. You know, thanks for listening. I look forward for our next episode. Mhm.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
The programming problems, bro. Because as I said, you know, we're going back into one of my previous goals, you know, which was to kind of build a website or whatnot. And, you know, the website is, the programming lifestyle is a whole different lifestyle. Like, yeah, back in the days, I was pretty good at it. I'm pretty good at it, but programming was pretty frustrating. And getting back into it kind of reminded me why why it was frustrating. But the difference between now and back then is that, you know, back then it was pure talent, you know, pure talent. But now it's more of experience, you know, more experience. So I'm coming in not as a rookie that just basically know to program. It's like me as a person that kind of knows that I've built something